Awesome. So for today's little mindset of a workshop that I want to give you guys, it's going over your goals and specifically going over a roadmap. That's one thing that we talk a lot about at Heartletics is obviously, hey, having success on your health and fitness journey when it comes to losing body fat, right? Habits, right? The right routine, preparation, everything like that, but also the right mindset, which is going to be very, very important. So for today, I'm going to do a little workshop with you guys, going over exactly, what are some key things that you guys need to develop. And then one more time before I do the screen share, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. This is going to be very, very good to take notes on. And you guys will see exactly why as we go through the very end of today's exercise, what it is that I want you guys to make sure that you do. That way you're just in alignment with your goals. So with that being said, Mark, you see my screen okay?
I do.
Cool. Can you see this okay?
Yes.
Beautiful. Let's dive in, party people. So once again, hey, grab yourself a pen and paper. That's literally the third time I'm telling you guys this because I'm so passionate about what we're going to be kind of going over for today. We just, once again, the roadmap for success, the roadmap going over your goals. And a little topic is pretty much, we're going to dive into this in some different segments here. The first one is creating the 2.0 version of yourself. And we're going to really identify what does that look like? How does that feel? And give you guys some practical advice in terms of what it is that I'm looking for to once again help you kind of paint the picture in terms of that 2.0 version of yourself. And by all means, I want you to get deep on this one. Then we're going to be diving in, obviously, to the routine, the habits, the belief system of that 2.0 version of yourself. And unfortunately, I like to say this might be a little bit hard in the beginning, in terms of opening up some doors and skeletons, right? That's shoved way back in the closets. But we can't bring in our past self-limiting beliefs into our future viewpoint of where we're trying to get to. And then lastly, we're going to be actually creating that roadmap. So if you guys can take a look at this, this is pretty much a rundown in terms of what I want to kind of work on with you guys for today. It's building that tree. At Heartletics, we talk about the tree often where it's like, hey, this big, huge tree with the branches that's at the top, all these amazing leaves. It looks beautiful. Think about that as the goals, you know? But as we go down the tree into the actual, root system, support system, that's going to be the routine. That's going to be the habits. And then lastly, it's going to be the beliefs and it's going to be your deep rooted why. And that's going to be the roots. That's what's going to hold true to your foundation and really kind of help you when it comes to mapping out this 2.0 version of yourself. So, Mark, since you're unmuted, I'm going to make this very simple because I want everybody to get the gist of what I'm saying here, right? If let's
Gotcha.
just say that you're over here in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm over here in Ohio and you wanted to come visit me, right? Come get a crazy leg workout in with me, smash some donuts, smash some protein shakes afterwards. Do you think like if you just drove to Ohio, you would be able to find my location, my pinpoint exact location?
No,
Okay. Why not?
because I would need more information. I would need more guidance. I would need, more of a direct navigation route.
Yeah. Almost like you would need exact GPS location, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So, guys, hopefully this is starting to make a little bit more sense because as we progress through this, I want once again to make you guys just get crystal clear on those goals, almost like a laser pointer. Okay. So, if Mark was going to drive from, let's say, New York to Ohio, the likelihood of him finding me is slim to none. But if Mark actually put in my address, he's going to be able to find me, right? Like, even when there's roadblocks, even when there's distractions, even when, hey, he has to go off, the road and maybe stop and get some gas or there's a construction zone, guess what? That GPS is still going to lead him to his end destination of finding me because he has the exact address. So the first little thing that I want you guys to kind of get into in terms of this, especially if you're taking down notes, and I'm just going to do a quick little recap in terms of what I'm looking for. We're not going to take too much time into this, but I want you to pinpoint like what are your goals and map this out in terms of let's just say as you're taking down notes, put it from like 6 to 12 months. Have something that you really want to be able to achieve, but also it's a smart goal. I can't achieve this. Maybe losing 200 pounds in 2 weeks, probably not possible, right? But maybe losing 50 pounds in 6 months and maintaining that weight loss, guess what? That's definitely possible, but get crystal clear on this. Don't just say, hey, I want to lose weight. Be specific. Hey, I want to lose X amount of weight because somebody could lose 5 pounds. And hey, that's technically them losing weight. But remember, they're not trying to get to just Ohio. They're trying to get the exact location, right? The address, that GPS pinpoint, crystal clear, right? In terms of that laser pointer. So be specific with this. Have fun with that. Write down your goals. Maybe it's, hey, I want to be able to bench, my body weight, for at least 5 reps. And maybe you haven't done that before. And obviously, you want to throw in some caveats on there as well to kind of help you out in terms of like what those goals are going to mean for you. So maybe that's, hey, if I'm able to hit these reps, hit these new PRs, maybe now I'm feeling more confident, able to take my shirt off at the beach. Or who knows, maybe I want to lose, 10% of my body fat and have way more energy to play with my kids, right? You want to make sure that as you're writing down your goals, it's crystal, crystal, crystal clear. Now, the next thing that we want to go over in terms of this 2.0, and hopefully you guys like my little stick image, okay? These, right, in terms of where you're at right now, it's everything. It is your activity, it's your sleeping, it's your eating habits, it's your self-care, it's your family time, everything like that, right? So what we really need to focus on in terms of like that tree is, once again, what is going to be the routine? What is going to be the habits of that 2.0 version of ourselves? And that's what I really wanted to get you guys to focus on. And for this, I want you to think about it, okay? This is a silly analogy, but I said it on a mindset call earlier, and it clicked with the individual that I was talking to, and hopefully it can kind of click with you too. If let's just say that your mindsets, okay, it's like a storage unit. And let's just say, hey, there's some new, things that we want to put into there. Maybe it's a new belief system, maybe it's new habits, everything like this. But that storage unit, it's full. Like, somebody's trying to give you something to put in there. You open up the door for that storage unit, and there's no space at all. So it's a lot easier to kind of get rid of those old habits that's actually hurting us rather than just pile on a whole bunch of new habits. So really let that sink in, because maybe, sure, you can start thinking about, okay, hey, the 2.0 version of myself, they're doing XYZ. And we're going to talk about some XYZ habits here in a little bit. But I also want you to kind of dive into, what are the habits that's currently holding you back now? Is it a self-limiting belief? Is it procrastination? Is it, time constraints, anything like this? Like, what are the habits that's typically holding you back, where it's, once again, kind of clearing, or excuse me, causing all this clutter, I'd like to say, inside of your, mindset, inside of your mental storage unit, if you want to call it that. So what I want you to do next, since you guys are, taking down notes, is figure out, what are your 2.0 habits? And then list out at least 20 habits for yourself, the future self, as if, hey, they're doing this and they're successful. And the reason why I say 20 is because anybody can list 5, anybody can list, 10. Realistically, though, I want you to think about this. And when you start thinking about things a little bit more differently, so let's just say, hey, 6 months into the future, it's summertime, you lost 50 pounds, you're at the beach, with your shirt off, you're feeling confident. Kind of meditate on that and actually visualize that and kind of think, like, what are they doing? How did they get here? If let's just say, like, you really like basketball, and maybe your favorite basketball player is LeBron James. What does LeBron James do every single day? Does he practice? Does he, meditate? Does he visualize himself being successful? Like, does he have a routine in mind? Like, think in terms of that. Success always likes to leave clues. So pinpoint out, what is that future successful version of yourself, and figure out, what are the clues? What are they doing? And here's just a little few examples, right, in terms of some of these habits. We have sleeping at least, 7 hours a night, drinking at least 3 liters of water a day, getting in at least 8,000 steps a day, working out at least, 3 times per week, obviously focusing on some strength, nailing their protein and their calorie goal. Let's see here. They're visualizing themselves being successful. Here's a big one that I want you guys to think about, is they're being patient. Even when things are not going their way, they're having patience. Maybe they're practicing gratitude. Maybe they're also looking at challenges as opportunities. And that's going to be something very, very key that I want you guys to focus on here in a little bit as we progress. Okay. So remember, the first part, what you're writing down is your crystal clear goals. Second part is, what are those habits? What is the routine that that 2.0 version of yourself is actually doing? Now let's get back into this. So typically what's going on in terms of our current habits has a lot to do with what's inside of our bubble. And obviously you guys know that the main motto for Heartletics this year is, Mark, what is that?
Stepping out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. And that's bursting this bubble. And so what's currently in right now your bubble? Maybe it's your worldview. Maybe it's your self view, like your identity, which is your beliefs. Maybe it's your thoughts, your daily actions. There's a lot that's going on inside here. So as we progress, what I really want you guys to do is kind of pop that bubble, right? Because maybe this person that you're trying to become, they have to go through this identity shift where, you know, their current, let's say, comfort zone doesn't really serve them too well. You know, this person over here is a completely different person from who you are currently being. And to better help you with this analogy is that, unfortunately, this is what a lot of guys suffer with, and why most people, they never really have long-term success at reaching their goals. It's typically a few steps forward, a few steps back, few steps forward, few steps back. And this yo-yo effect, right? This uphill, downhill roller coaster of a ride. And it's because their past, their self-limiting beliefs, they're just bringing that into the present. You know, it's like they're taking perfume and cologne and they're just kind of spraying it on a whole bunch of crap. Well, guess what? Like, it's still going to eventually stink, you know? And that's the reality, is like, you bring that crap from the past into the present, and it's only going to follow you into the future. And think in terms of what I already mentioned before about that storage unit. Sometimes you have to kind of, you know, open up those doors, see the skeletons of the past, and kind of take this perspective shift, you know, this thousand eye, you know, bird's view perspective of, okay, hey, this has happened to me in the past. There's nothing I can really do about it, but what can I learn from it? Or, hey, am I actually a better person because of that happening to me? And then if it is, hey, we're getting kind of peaceful with our past. We're saying bygones be bygones. Hey, we can stop stressing over it. There's nothing we can actually do. It's out of our control. So why don't we just get rid of it? You know, it doesn't serve us any favor. And this is why working on certain mindset habits like, you know, meditation, gratitude journaling, different things like this is great practices to really kind of help you of healing yourself of the past. You know, when I was going through a really, really hard time in terms of like depression, anxiety, I remember when I went to yoga class for the very first time, you know, our yoga instructor kind of told me, well, in terms of the whole entire class, hey, you know, you cannot clear up anything in the future unless you first clear up all the crap that's holding you back. And it really is that ball in that chain. And she was so right. You know, you have to learn how to just break free of that, you know, and it's a lot harder, you know, than you think. But guess what? Once you actually do, it's the biggest weight off your shoulder. But if you really want to progress in terms of goal setting, you first need to clean up that past a little bit. So let's actually talk about that. And this analogy, I think it's going to give you guys, once again, that thousand eye, you know, bird's eye perspective. So you're right here. This is you. And let's say once again that this is your bubble, right? Your worldview, your self-identity, everything like that. Well, what happens when problems face? Because that's one thing that you need to understand is problems. It's the inevitable. There is nothing you can do about it. You can change your perspective shift about it, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But regardless, you're going to be tested in life. That might be injuries. That might be sicknesses. That might be stress at home. That might be stress at work. That might be, you know, deaths in the family. That might be, you know, like there's a million different challenges and stressful things to talk about, right? The list goes on and on. I'm sure as you're watching this right now, you could probably already go off of at least 3 or 4 in your head right now, because everybody deals with problems. But how you face those problems, that's where you're going to get into a bigger, different perspective. Because here's a reality. Those problems are going to fight, are going to make you cause, right, and feel some type of feelings called emotions. Now, based on how you're seeing those problems, if you're seeing it as, man, the glass being half empty and this sucks, cry me a river, and why does all these bad things always happen to me? Guess what? You are then telling yourself a story, and that's your new belief system. And so what happens when you have this belief system about yourself? Well, that's a perspective. Okay. So, and that is going to give you clarity, which is certainty, and then actions. And this could be a revolving door around bad habits. So, for example, let's just say weight loss. Let's just say, somebody just lost, 20 pounds and they happen to roll their ankle and they're feeling like, oh man, like this sucks, right? Why me? Cry me a river, right? Emotions. The story that they're telling themselves is, man, every time I'm trying to lose weight, something bad always happens to me, right? So now that's their perspective, is like, oh man, this sucks. Like every single time, which is going to give them clarity in terms of, man, every single time I try to lose weight, something bad always happens and I get derailed, I get thrown off the track. And, that's giving them certainty because they're saying to themselves, this keeps on happening. This isn't the first time. This isn't the second time. This happens over and over and over again. And that's going to lead to actions, right? What are those actions? Why should I even try anymore? Why should I even bother? Like this just constantly happens. It's a revolving door. So it's how we face our problems that can really shift everything into a greater perspective, right? Where it's like, okay, hey, using the same analogy, I rolled my ankle. So, okay, how are we going to be faced with those emotions? Maybe we can't work out, but guess what? Maybe we could be way too dialed into our nutrition and our mindset that it doesn't even matter if we're working out or not. Because maybe those things that we weren't necessarily working on before with our mindset and with our nutrition, we can dial into it 10 times more. So now the story that we start telling ourselves, since we kind of clear the air in terms of emotions, and this is what I always like to tell you guys is don't go off those emotions. You're never going to be in control of your very first thought, but you're always going to be in control of your second thought. So take a step back. Don't respond. Don't react, right? Don't get emotionally attached to any situation. Just observe it. Really start asking yourself some questions to kind of help you out with that. But if let's just say we're observing the fact that we rolled our ankle, but what we can do, since we can't really work out and get our steps in, what we can do is let's say, I don't know, maybe start eating healthier. Maybe start focusing on our nutrition more. Maybe start working more on our mindset. Guess what? It's going to change our stories and our beliefs. As in, hey, when life throws me curveballs, I roll with the punches. I can easily get through these challenges, right? I'm viewing these tests and these obstacles in life as little bumps in the road, but most importantly, they're opportunities for me to grow in other areas of my life. That's going to give us a whole different perspective. And maybe that perspective is like, hey, I'm a warrior. Hey, I'm confident. Hey, I got this. And hey, maybe there's some other areas in my life that I need to focus on. Now we have more clarity. And what happens when we have more clarity? That's going to lead to certainty. And once we have it certainty, right, that's where we're going to get to some actions. And what does actions lead to? Well, actions is going to lead to results at the end of the day. So if we look at the results pyramid, what I pretty much just kind of share with you guys is, hey, you're going to be faced with some experiences in life. Some are going to be good, some are going to be bad, right? But regardless of the experience what is your belief system about that experience? Is it a negative or is it a positive? And that's ultimately going to change your action about it, right? In terms of what can we actually start doing? Can we roll with these punches? A contender, hey, there's somebody that maybe they get knocked down and, pushed out of the rain. They don't show right back up the next day, right? But a champion is somebody that gets right back up. They continue to fight over and over and over again. And when it comes to reaching your goals, whether it's, fat loss goals, business goals, relationship goals, anything like that, there's one thing that's always going to be certain. The person that never gives up is the person that's always going to win at the end of the day. You have to be, having this unshakable confidence within yourself because that's what's going to lead to the results automatically. So now let's go into the third thing I want you guys to kind of write down is, what is your why? Because at the end of the day, like your belief system, that matters the most. We talked about it in terms of the tree, right? The roots. And that's what we really need to kind of figure out. So I want you guys to kind of just map out. You should have your goals already listed out, but I want you to kind of have in terms of this, why do you want those goals? And this is something that, once again, it might take some time to kind of map this out. And I don't mean just like surface level stuff. I mean some deep rooted stuff. So for example, if let's say your goal is to get off your medications, right? That's a bad goal. It really is. And here's the reason why it's a bad goal. At the end of the day, you're going to be faced with challenges. No one's is going to say it's going to be easy to get off your medications. Hey, you're going to be faced with, challenges. Maybe that is investing your money into a coach to help you get off those medications. Maybe that's investing your time into doing the right things to get off those medications, right? And so if you don't have a deep rooted why, well, guess what? Hey, when you don't feel like showing up, it's a lot easier to just sleep in. It's a lot easier to not go to the gym. It's a lot easier to smash on a dozen donuts because you just don't care anymore. But if let's say you have a deep rooted why as, hey, I want to get off my medications so I can actually live longer. And I want to walk my children down the wedding aisle and be here for when they even have kids. So I'm that fit, in shape grandfather. Guess what? That's going to get my butt out of bed every morning. That's going to get me to the gym. And that's going to make sure that once again, when I'm viewing my goals, I'm in alignment. There's the deep roots as to why I want to have success at achieving these goals. Down the list, right? Losing weight. Hey, everybody wants to lose weight. Everybody wants to look good. But once again, surface level. Let's get a little deep on this. How about I want to get down to a weight where I feel comfortable in my own skin. And I like the way that I look and I like the way that I feel so I can have more energy. And maybe I can also lead by example for my family. That's honestly why I get up every single day, why I go to the gym. It's for you guys as the members and it's for my son. I want to make sure that I'm leading by example. I want to make sure that, hey, I'm doing the right things as not just talking the talk, but most importantly, walking the walk, which matters the most. I want to make sure I'm establishing good habits as he's a little kid right now, 5 years old. So that way, when he grows up, guess what? He knows what he needs to do to be active, to be fit, to be, in physically good health conditions. The last thing I want is like to be the seed that's planting bad habits in my own kid. So he has bad eating habits. He's being lazy. He's not being active. He's on his tablet all day, watching TV. Next, he's in middle school. He's getting picked on and made fun of because he's overweight. Or worse, as he grows older, now he's dealing with medications. And guess what? That all could have been, stopped if I would have just been a better parent. If I would have just led by example. Hate to say it, but that's the truth. A lot of people, especially in, today's society, they do not know how to lead by example. And unfortunately, they're hurting their kids. They're being a liability rather than an asset. So if you want to get real deep on this one, I challenge you, get deep on it, peel back the layers. And then lastly, more confidence, everybody wants to have confidence, like who doesn't? But at the end of the day, like, why do you actually want to have that confidence? Maybe if you had a deep rooted why as like, I want to be able to take my shirt off at the beach and like the way that I look in the mirror because when I was younger, I was, bullied and I was picked on for being overweight. Guess what? If you had a deep rooted why like that and you reminded yourself every single day why you're going to show up, I promise you this, you're going to get one step closer to your goals than if it was just very broad. Remember, getting off your medications, that's like Mark trying to drive from New York to Ohio. He's going to get there, but he's not going to get to my house. Hey, losing weight, Mark's going to get to Ohio. He's not going to get to my house. More confidence, Mark's going to get to Ohio. He's not going to get to my house. If he needs to get to my address, guess what? He needs to pinpoint that location in a GPS. He needs to be laser focused on his goals. And once again, have that deep rooted why. Because when curveballs face, when challenges, right? Let's just say as you're driving a car, roadblocks, traffic jams, detours, all these different things, a GPS is going to reroute you. Sure that, end destination might, be a little bit longer, but regardless, it doesn't say just go back home. No, it still keeps you on the right track. And that's why having a deep rooted why is so important for all of this. So going back to the goals, all right, the tree. What are the branches, that you want to write down in terms of this? What are the goals that you want to have success with? Think about in terms of just a quick recap. Hey, 6 to 12 months down the road, what is it that you want? And be crystal clear with it. Second is go down the tree, right? Now we're at, the branches. Now we're at kind of like the base. What's the routine and what is the habits? If let's just say that, that 2.0 version of yourself that, has the six-pack abs, they're off the medications, they're able to have more confidence, all this stuff. What are they doing right now? And then think about in terms of what they're doing right now. What do you have to sacrifice today in order to change your current habits to be in alignment with theirs? So once again, if you are procrastinating, if let's say you lack integrity, right? So that means, hey, if you're supposed to be showing up for your workouts, and pushing your hardest and striving your best to crush it, right? And have the right intensity. But guess what? You're just going through the motions, right? I bet you anything that 2.0 version of yourself that has six-pack abs, right? And more confidence, they're crushing their workouts. They're destroying their workouts. So you can clearly see that there's a difference. And once again, think in terms of that storage unit. Go into the past, clear out some of those boxes that you just don't need anymore. It's not serving you any purpose. You're just keeping the files there for, in case of a rainy day. It's like, dude, take them out of the storage unit, put some gasoline on it and burn them, right? Kick them to the curb. You don't need them anymore, And when you don't need those old habits, guess what? You can replace those with those new habits that the 2.0 version of yourself, they want you to happen, right? They want you to have. I bet you anything, right? If let's just say, hey, fast forward 12 months, right? And you were in the best shape of your life, what would that version of yourself tell you today? Hey, what should you start doing and what should you stop doing? And sometimes the stopping of doing this is a lot harder, It's like, hey, maybe you have to be a little bit more diligent. Maybe you have to be a little bit more honest. Maybe you should be a little bit more focused on those goals. And those are not exactly easy things that we want to hear, but at the end of the day, hey, your comfort zone, that's not serving you anything. That's only getting you what you currently have right now. In order to get a new life, a new perspective, your goals, you got to step outside that comfort zone. You got to take that leap of faith. And what's going to help you do that is obviously the last part, which is these roots. And this is the beliefs. This is the why. Hey, why am I showing up today? Why am I actually doing this? And focus on, once again, peeling back the layers, trying to get as deep as you can, because once you can, I promise you this, it's going to help you just, once again, get in alignment with your goals. So now let's go into a fun little exercise. If you're taking down notes, right, you should have, or maybe obviously, you want to spend some time thinking about in terms of this a little bit more clear, but I want to go over literally creating a roadmap for you guys. If you ever done a mindset call or mindset strategy session with me, Mark, for example, hey, I talk a lot about creating a manifesto. This is going to be a similar aspect of a manifesto, not so much in detail, but enough to really help somebody in terms of where they're trying to get to. And the first thing that you want to write out is a paragraph, couple sentences. It doesn't have to be long at all, right? You don't need 3 pages. Literally make it just a couple sentences, okay? And that is, about the 2.0 version of yourself. And write it as if you already had success at achieving your goals. So for example, if let's just say my goal is to, lose 20 pounds, have, shredded six-pack abs, have more confidence, have more energy, how would that look? Well, if I was writing as the 2.0 version of myself, I would start off with, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm so blessed knowing that, whenever life throws me any kind of challenges, I'm not looking at the glass being half full, right? I'm looking at the glass being half empty. I'm looking at the glass being half full as what opportunities can I face and overcome in the midst of this challenge right now? I'm so happy that, I went through a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but regardless, I never gave up. I never threw in the towel. And I'm very proud of myself when I look at myself in the mirror each and every day. I can have a big smile looking back at me and say, you know what, you did it. And you're continuing to do it each and every day to be that light for others and lead by example. So you can have something like that, that is what's ever going to resonate with you. And you're going to see what I mean here in a little bit. Second part to that is list out the habits, the physical and the mental habits that they have, that 2.0 version of yourself. And remember, you want a list of 20. So write out, hey, 5, 5, 5, 5, right? If you want to write it in terms of that, maybe 10, 10, whatever the case may be. But have this list of 20 habits, physical and mental. It should be a good split, a good mixture, right? Because at the end of the day, there's probably going to be a lot more of the mindset habits that this 2.0 version of yourself has that you don't have right now. And maybe that is forgiving themselves of the past, which is a hard thing and why most guys are stuck bringing that crap from the past into the present and right into the future again. So maybe that 2.0 version of yourself, they actually forgive themselves. Maybe they have more integrity. Maybe they're more honest with themselves. Maybe they're more diligent. Maybe they're, meditating and practicing gratitude and visualization, whatever it is that you can kind of mold and think about that version of yourself that you're trying to become, write out the list of 20 habits. And then you want to write out, your why. And this is going to be a reminder to yourself when challenges occur, because they will. I like to say it all the time, right? These are unseen variables. It's going to happen. But what matters the most is, how do you view those challenges? Do you view them as, obstacles and you just, hit the bump in the road and turn around? Or do you view them as opportunities? So instead of saying like, man, this sucks, instead say, what can I learn from this? It's a small little perspective shift. And remember, you're never in control over your very first thought, but you're always in control over your second thought. So let's say, like, I don't know, hey, you happen to just randomly go into work one day and your boss says, hey, you're done. Sorry, here's your 2 weeks notice. That sucks, right? You're going to be feeling so emotionally torn. You're going to be feeling like, man, what am I going to do? All this stuff. I challenge you, all right? Stop it in its tracks. Don't get your emotions involved. Don't respond. Don't react. Take a step back and observe, and just ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Well, hey, maybe if you start asking yourself some good questions, maybe it was a job that you just hated. You didn't like your boss in the first place. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Maybe it also gives you an opportunity for a newer job, right? That has better income, better pay. Maybe it's a job that's more flexible. So now you have more family time. So it's like, you can't see that if you're just clouding your vision with a bunch of negativity of, oh man, I'm going to lose my house next. I'm going to, get a divorce. And the snowball effect of worry, anxiety, and doubt starts to kick in, because you're faced with an obstacle. You're faced with a challenge, right? Your boss gave you a 2 weeks notice. So stop it in its tracks, rewrite the script. Because remember, how you view those challenges, that's going to dictate your emotions. Your emotions are, once again, going to give you those stories and those beliefs that you're going to start telling yourself. And that's going to shift your perspective. So if you can stop it in its tracks and just say, hey, what can I learn from this, right? It might be able to get yourself to be that thousand eye, bird's eye view to say, hey, maybe this is a challenge, but maybe it's also an opportunity for something better to come along this way next. Number 4 is to add in an affirmation or declaration at the bottom. So a lot of people, right, in terms of Heartletics, we love talking about affirmations, right? Declaration, it's the same thing, in the Bible, right? Proverbs 18:21, death and life are found in the power of the tongue. I'm a huge, huge, huge fan over, what are you telling yourself? And what are you constantly telling yourself? And what is your new belief system, right? And it all starts with the power of your own tongue. So what I would like you to do is, as you're writing out this roadmap, and I'm going to go over here a little, how that's actually going to look next, is I want you to put in an affirmation. You could have something in there like, I am worthy of success and abundance. You can have something like, I'm confident in my abilities. Anything that you want that resonates with you and your goals. It has to be in alignment, like have fun with it, but once again, what is going to be your power statements? If, let's say, you're Mike Tyson, and every single time that you're going out to the ring, you have to think about, what is something that Mike Tyson is probably saying in terms of his head, right? He's probably saying, I'm fearless, I'm relentless, I'm unstoppable. And guess what? He was saying those things. Go watch some interviews on YouTube of Mike Tyson, right? Like, your internal conversation, that's what matters the most. So it's like, he's saying these things, walking out to the ring, and he's a killer. He's a beast, right? Knocking people out left to right. Imagine how greater you can be at having success at reaching your goals if you started saying the right things to yourself that was in alignment with your goals. And then lastly, print it out, read it to yourself twice a day. I have my, roadmap right here, my manifesto right above my whiteboard, and I literally read it to myself first in the morning and right before, I end up finishing the workday. And it's a reminder to myself before I even start my workday, before I even start my morning routine, hey, where am I trying to get to? What are my habits that I need to do to focus on to be in alignment? And also, why am I actually doing this? And then I literally just say my affirmation to myself, and that's it. It serves such a great purpose with, okay, hey, now we're in full control. Now we're not, going through life just a leaf floating in the wind, right? It's like, no, we're a man on a mission, and like, that's going to ultimately lead to unshakable confidence, is like, When a man is hungry for what he wants, he knows what he wants, he knows when he wants it, and he's going to go out and get it regardless of how he feels for that day. Successful people do what they have to do, whether they feel like it or not. So by reading just this one simple thing to yourself, right, this roadmap, it's going to give you the intentions. It's going to give you the alignment for where you're trying to get to in terms of your goals. It's just a friendly reminder. And make sure you read it, obviously before you go to sleep or sometime, before the end of the workday, whatever the case may be, to once again, just help you get right back on course. And this is how it should look. So it should have, your goals written up here at the top. And it should be just 3 sentences, 2, 4, 5, whatever you want, small little paragraph in terms of what that is. And then write out your habits right afterwards. What is, once again, the 2.0 version of yourself? What are their habits? So if you find yourself like you're going through the motions right now, not crushing your workouts, barely tracking, your macros, barely getting any kind of steps in, barely drinking water, well, guess what? How are you going to get to the 2.0 version of yourself if they're actually crushing their workouts, they're tracking everything, they have integrity, they have the right mindset, they're drinking plenty of water? This is where you need, right? It's that perspective shift. And think in terms of, once again, that storage unit. You got a whole bunch of crap from the past. And yeah, it's great to just add in more and more habits, right? That's going to serve you a better purpose. But it's a lot easier if you clean up the habits that don't serve you a purpose now. And maybe that's procrastination. Maybe that's, you're not being, not having integrity. Maybe that's like you're just going through the motions. Maybe that's you're being lazy. You have to have that mental conversation shift with yourself. Okay. And what's going to help you out is having that why, which is, once again, just a small little paragraph, and that's it. Why are you doing this? Why are you showing up? Like, what is the purpose of all this? And then lastly, having there your I am statement, and this is what's going to give you, I like to say, is like your pre-workout for the day. You got done reading your goals, you got done reading your habits, you got done reading your deep rooted why. It's getting you all in alignment for your goals. And then you're reading your affirmation. I am blank, whatever that is. It's not I will be. It's not, I'm trying to become. It's I am blank, whatever it is that serves you purpose, that's in alignment with your goals. And lastly, I want to say this before we end the presentation and I go right back onto the live coaching call is, hey, if you guys are watching this on either Facebook or in the Facebook community group, on YouTube when it's going to be recorded in there, I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate just a like, and also leave a comment down below, letting me know your biggest takeaway from today's, goal setting masterclass. Second, you guys know I love when, seeing just more and more people subscribing to the YouTube channel. That just gives me a sense of like, okay, I'm doing the right things. I'm promoting the right content, but it also hypes me up in terms of like, okay, what more can I do? What better content that I can produce just by seeing those subscribers, increase. So if you guys have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, the Heartletics channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And let's say if you're somebody that's not a part of our, Heartletics community group right now, the last thing that you can do is go to heartletics.com. There's a bunch of different free resources in there, but what I recommend doing is just, downloading our free training guide. A lot of different resources in terms of, what to do, how to do it when it comes to losing body fat, and what are the right habits to kind of shift and mold for yourself. Now, before we end this and end the recording, Mark, I told you to be unmuted for a specific reason. So I want to know from you, because you've done plenty of different, mindset calls with me and everything like this. I figured take a little combination of everything in terms of what Heartletics has to offer and bring it to a masterclass, not just for all the members here, but hey, Facebook land and YouTube land that's currently watching this right now, and going on Spotify for the podcast. So what are some feedbacks, Mark?
I would say, first of all, this is a great cumulative, look at yourself, at your habits, at your goals, how to achieve them, right? It's basically, like you said, it's that GPS. It's laying out, if you do this, this, and this is how you can get from point A to point B. I think it's important though. I mean, it's great that we all did this on this, call to kind of lay out the framework for it. But to really get the best out of this takes some time. So I think you're going to want to, kind of maybe revisit this video for the process and then spend some real in-depth time thinking about what are those goals? What are those habits that are going to get you to those goals? What is my why? And how has it maybe evolved over, the past few weeks, months, whatever it is, because your why is always changing. So I think this is something that's incredibly valuable, but also you have to put some work into it to get the value out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. This isn't like, I mean, think about it in terms of fat loss, right? Like, hey, you can't just, just randomly snap your fingers and wish to have 50 pounds off your body. It's like, no, hey, you should probably be tracking your macros, hitting your protein goal, drinking your water, getting steps in, working out, etc. Right? It's like the action, that's what's gonna medically get you guys the results that you're looking for. So just like what Mark said, it's like, hey, you need to take action on this one. And I love what you said, Mark, about rewatching this video, pausing it several times and just saying, okay, hey, let me really think about this. What are my goals? And then going down the video, okay, pause again. Okay. So like, what are the habits that the 2.0 version of myself? All right. Back down. Okay. Hey, pause. Hey, what is that deep rooted why? Like, why do I actually want this? And then spending some time really molding and crafting to write that roadmap, getting it perfect for you. It's going to hype you up, right? And obviously printing that out and taking action, and then it's just like once you have that, it's just a roadmap. Just like how Mark can put in the address for my location into GPS. Guess what? He still needs to take the keys, right? Turn on the ignition and actually drive. So it's like you guys still need to take the action. You guys still need to do what you got to do, but this is the roadmap that's going to keep you in alignment. It's going to be the GPS.
This
So
is also I was just
go
gonna say
ahead.
this is also a great prerequisite to one of my favorite kind of practices, which is visualization, because you're really putting the time in to put together what that 2.0 version of yourself that you want to, be is. And so that way it helps to really be able to crystallize that, image when you're doing that visualization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I really hope that you guys got a lot of value from today's video. And once again, if you did, hey, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, letting me know your biggest takeaway. And also, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. I'd greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that. And if you guys want any more free resources, check out, heartletics.com. We have a free fat loss guide that I think is going to help you guys out big time. Peace out, Girl Scouts.